Okay, let me start actually on the next story that I found extraordinarily disturbing, and I shared with you, Pastor, on Saturday, is the ethicist at the National Institute of Health and Duke University saying killing isn't always killing if we can get an organ from somebody, and they have no quality of life anyway. I find this disturbing because I've seen it before in history. We're going to start there when we come back. Back with Bill Donahue, Billy Hollowell, Rabbi Daniel Lapin, and Pastor Robert Morris. I specifically asked these gentlemen to be on because if we do not unite and we don't stand together, they're going to pick us off one box at a time. And you may say, well, this isn't my fight. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And this is kind of the thing that I've been talking about now for about 2 years. You've got to stand with people who, you know, they don't share your faith or your theology or whatever. Nobody's talking about blending our theologies. Look at it. We're all separate little boxes here, but we're all on the same page. I want to talk about a story that came out Friday from the National Institute of Health and also the Duke University chief ethicist there, medical ethicist. And they're talking about how killing isn't really killing if you're harvesting organs and that person has no quality of life. Doesn't say permanently disabled and doesn't say entirely disabled, just says disabled. That's a pretty big range there. And they're not dying or dead, but we need their organs. This is the way things start. They start with compassion. You know that because you've watched this program for a long time. It starts with compassion, and it goes awry from there. Pastor, I want to start with you real quick. You said in one of your talks about America, I heard right around the first of the year, you said that whose judgment is it? This report says, you know, basically compares people to weeds, and somebody's got to weed the garden. My question was, who's the gardener? You spoke about this a couple of weeks ago.
I did. I asked some young people a very simple question to me, but it's amazing how they think now, this next generation. And I said to them, who dictates morality? What dictates morality? And they thought and thought, and then they came up with the answer that I think they've been told. They said individual conscience. And I said to them, well, here's what's wrong with that. Individual conscience or individual conviction. Hitler was not individually convicted that murder was wrong. That was not his conviction. There are people in our country that are not convicted that rape is wrong, or that stealing is wrong, or that lying is wrong. So what dictates morality? You have to have an absolute. You have to. An absolute that never changes. Rabbi Lapin spoke of it, the 10 Commandments. You have to have, you spoke of it, you held it up, this book, from the garden to the beast, the Word of God, the Bible. There has to be an absolute. Otherwise, if every person does what's right in his own eyes, we're in a lot of trouble.
Rabbi, I just read something this weekend. In fact, it is James Robinson's new book, Indivisible, and it's great. It's great. And he talks about the difference between freedom and liberty. Liberty is the key. Freedom is not what you think it is. Freedom, if everybody has the right to do whatever they want, eventually what that spirals into, and it's happening in the Middle East now, it spirals out of control into the freedom of the strongest or meanest person to dictate things.
Well, I think the reason that the United States of America is one of the only places in the whole world that has an illegal immigration problem. You know, I mean, Saudi Arabia does not have an illegal immigration problem, and almost no other places in the world do. The reason is precisely because of the rules and rituals and restraints of Bible-based Judeo-Christian thought that has sculpted out a way of life and a civilization here in America that has been the envy of the world and has achieved a tranquility and a prosperity not seen in 2,000 years. Jews have never had a better home than what we have now in the United States of America, and that's not in spite of America being a Christian nation. It's precisely because America is a Christian nation.
Bill, I guess I want to... I'm serious about my dedication of standing up for true principles. I've done a lot of thinking about where will you compromise, and I'm sorry, but there is no more compromise. We've compromised ourselves to the point of oblivion. I will love people. I can understand that we have a difference of opinion, but you cannot compromise your values and your principles, especially at this point. The Pope has come out and the bishops have come out with a very strong statement. And I see this as a much broader attack. Will the Catholics stand and continue to stand, and will they welcome, and do you see other faiths reaching out to you to say, we're in this, and we're in this to the end? You stand with me, I'll stand with you. We surely must hang together, or we will all hang separately.
I haven't seen anything like this since the days of Martin Luther King, when Catholics, Protestants, Jews, and other people of faith who worked together for civil rights. Quite frankly, we've had some divisions within the Catholic community, as you well know, along the typical axis of the liberal versus conservative. And so they're into the social justice mode, and the liberals and the Catholics are more, the conservative Catholics tend to be more conservative when it comes to the moral and cultural issues. But on this particular issue here, this is an issue of conscience rights. And that's why, again, the Washington Post, which doesn't agree with the Catholic Church on matters sexual, is with us on this particular issue. This is why we're getting support from people. I've been in touch with people throughout the day and last week again, who are not all in the Catholic community, but the first thing Catholics have to do is to come together themselves. But, you know, let me just pick up on this one other thing, too, here, Glenn. Rabbi Lapin is right about the centrality of the Ten Commandments. And Aquinas understood that the natural law was based on the Ten Commandments. Now, look what you have. They're talking about the quality of life. I mean, you know, once we get away from the idea of natural law and we accept utilitarianism, which is the greatest good for the greatest number of people, or positivism, it's what the government posits or teaches. That's the source of morality. Now you're going down this road. And I remember a number of years ago, Joseph Fletcher, Humanist of the Year, he was arguing that if people didn't have a certain IQ, maybe that they didn't qualify for the same quality of life as well. This is a very dangerous moment in American history. It's not just about the Obamacare. You're correct to bring in this question here, what's going on with Duke University and the others, because it's all about the cheapening of human life, which in the starting point in the cheapening of human life is the abandonment of natural law and natural rights.